You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet Malhotra. Liquor sales are making headlines since the day shops opened to sell alcohol all throughout the country. In just 3 days, it became clear that selling alcohol could nullify the progress made through social distancing. People are seen jostling for space to get their prized possession or their favorite brand, while the state coffers benefit from it. It's the general public that may suffer when it comes to the spread of coronavirus. A catch-22 situation for the administration, and we discuss whether the sale should be stopped or should it be business as usual. And joining me on the program is Professor Madhav Nalapat, Editorial Director of the Sunday Guardian, Manish Pandey, Editor of the ITV Network, Sumit Peer, Industrialist, and Sharad Kohli, Economist. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. I hope you all can hear me loud and clear.
Yes.
Professor Nalapat, let me start by asking you, to drink or not to drink? That's the big question. In fact, let me start out by quoting something, or in fact narrating an incident that happened to me. One of my relatives who called me a couple of days back and said that my glasses are broken, just the way you wear glasses. She said, my glasses are broken and the optician is closed. I cannot go to the optician to get my glasses fixed. So that means until the government decides to open opticians, I cannot see. What was the hurry to reopen liquor stores? It lent a lot of perspective as to why these liquor stores have been opened. Obviously, the state governments are losing out on a lot of money. But do you think that it is perhaps an imbalanced approach at this point in time? Because that cannot be the only thing on the state's mind to make money.
Look, I'd like to say that opticians are basically, in a sense, medical, because they relate to the eyes, and myopia or other problems which need rectification through spectacles. So I do believe optician shops should be allowed to open, and should have been allowed to open the way chemists have been allowed to open. That's one point. The second point is, one can admire people who have the self-discipline to never have taken a drink in their lives. But the reality is that these things are not instilled in you by law or by the police. They come through one's own internal, self development. So I think it was the reality of the situation is that this blanket prohibition of alcohol, which was announced on the very beginning of the lockdown, what it has done is serve as a bonanza for illicit liquor dealers, serve as a bonanza for the liquor mafia, and serve as a bonanza for black marketeers in liquor. I don't think it has done anything to change people's habits, but it has certainly been a bonanza for the mafia. We all remember in Haryana, the chief minister said, okay, I'm going to make Haryana a dry state. Well, I can tell you, people who were delighted were the mafia. The mafia moved in, took over the illicit trade in alcohol, and they made merry. So I would only like to say, prohibition has never worked anywhere in the world. I don't see it working here at all. I'm very glad that this completely hypocritical, farcical move, which frankly has sent so many state governments right into the red, has been ended. The reality is that it's better to go to a liquor shop than go to your hoots dealer or to go to some black marketeer who might adulterate your alcohol.
All right, Sharad Kohli, economist, also joins us on the broadcast. Sharad, I was under the opinion that you only make bad decisions, when you were under the influence of alcohol.
Here is a case of decision when you are not under the influence of alcohol, or you are under an economic influence of alcohol. Shall I put it that way? Yes, UP collects the highest revenue, Vinny, 31,000 crore plus. Delhi collects about 5,500 crores of annual revenue. And Delhi government, if I take it as an example, Delhi government monthly salary bill is about 750 crores. So you can imagine how much of load, alcohol excise collections take. So I think the very reason why, Vinny, alcohol was kept out of GST Alcohol, if you remember, petroleum and electricity, these three products were kept out of GST. So I think the reason is here. Here is the answer, because the states want their revenue. It's a hefty source of state revenue. But what I don't understand beneath here is that you decide to show Ramayana at 9 p.m. trying to make the whole country very sacred and very devotional. And then suddenly, because you find that your coffers are running empty, you decide to let them queue up, have a 5-kilometer queue outside the liquor shop. How? I mean, what kind of hypocrisy is this? What are you trying to say, that your state runs on alcohol? I totally refute this. This should not have been allowed. And I go by the example you gave, that there is an old man who's waiting to get his eyeglasses repaired, and you have a 5-kilometer queue with people dancing around, blatantly breaching the social distancing norms. You don't even imagine what happened over the last 2 days. I mean, how much of corona effect will that have? Only when the tests are done, we would know that what has been effect of that 5-kilometer pushing and gushing into the queues. What happened? I was a witness. I went to an area in Delhi called Karol Bagh, and I was crossing a road called Faiz Road, and I saw a 5-kilometer long queue, and I thought probably food is being distributed, or probably some bank has set up this queue. And when I reached the end of by my car, I found that there was a liquor shop there, and the police walas nicely standing there, and people were just dying to get their turn in, and bottles being picked up. What is this? Is the state running on liquor? Are the state salary being paid on liquor? Is that the only source of revenue? Why can't you open other sectors and start collecting your GST? I mean, I totally refute this move, and I'm absolutely against this. This should not have been. It's a shame which has been brought to the government, and it has proved beyond doubt that you mess up with people's families. And after the liquor shops were opened, I heard of a case where there was a case of domestic violence, Vineet, where a man in a drunken state had a brawl with his family, and I think the wife and the children committed suicide.
Correct.
So look at the social impact. Are you trying to ruin the social fabric at the cost of getting salaries for the states? I'm sorry, I do not agree at all.
Okay. Sumit, in fact, Sharad brought out a very important point. Even during the lockdown, Sumit Peer, there were reports that domestic disturbances have gone up. Reports, in fact, rose up sharply when the lockdown was imposed, because obviously people were getting used to each other like never before. And on top of that, you put in another cocktail where you open up liquor stores. How is that, going to sever this already fragile situation we are all in? And like Sharad very rightly pointed out, that is alcohol the only source of money? I mean, if that is so, then it's a very sorry state of affairs.
Vineet, if you look at it, you see, alcohol has been in the society for thousands of years. It was not bought yesterday or 100 years or 20 years back, and it is across the world. These shops existed before the lockdown, and after the lockdown they will continue to exist. Now there is a very big demand for this alcohol, and what Sharadji rightly said, the revenues are not counted under GST. So that means central government does not get any share of the money you make out of alcohol, petrol. Though electricity is not a profit making business for the state, but alcohol and petrol definitely are. States are running high and dry, and there's a very, very big demand. You don't want people to go to illicit liquor, you don't want people to go to those addas, you don't want people to go to these black marketers. It's a democracy. If there is a demand, you have to supply that. It is not something which you have bought anew. This has been pre-existing, so you cater to the demand. And if it helps the states in this kind of a crisis, let it be that. But at the same time, maintain social distancing and all that. So, Vineet, are you telling me before the lockdown there were no problems due to alcohol? There were. Do you tell me today there are no problems? There are. Tomorrow there will be no problems? There will be problems. Alcohol as a thing might not be very good, but this is something which has been a part of human history and evolution for thousands of years.
Let me come in here.
Okay, Sharad wants to say something. Sharad, go ahead.
5 by 5 20.
Okay, Manish, I'll come to you momentarily.
Like you and me.
Can I rebut?
Yeah, go ahead, Sharad.
What else does he bank on? What does he bank on?
Okay, Sharad, go ahead.
Can I rebut? You see, we have been talking of loss of income, Vineet. I'm not contesting that liquor wasn't there before lockdown. I'm not contesting it is going to be there after lockdown. In the era of lockdown, when the whole economy is on a downturn, people have run out of incomes, people have run out of bread and butter, people have lost their jobs, people have lost their livelihood. Where the hell is this money coming from? Why the hue and cry about dal roti then? Why that hue and cry? Isn't this being hypocrite? I mean, you're just trying to say that I don't have dal roti to eat, but I can buy 20 bottles, pack it in my scooter, and take it home. The whole thing looks like a sham in that case.
Okay.
So what is this? I'm not contesting the pre-lockdown and post-lockdown liquor not being used. Well, you don't have dal roti to it. Where is the money coming for liquor? Where is your livelihood now?
Okay. All right. I'll go to Manish Pandey. Manish, where do you stand on this? I mean, is it clearly stating or putting it out in the open that, money or alcohol, not in that order, comes before health? Obviously, you cannot have resources, you cannot have, security personnel marshalling alcohol shops to see if somebody is observing social distancing or not. Isn't it a gamble that the government is taking, because they obviously want to revive some kind of an economic activity, but they couldn't find any creative ways to do it?
Vineet, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Vineet, this is actually unfortunate. And let me be very blunt in saying, in a country which drinks only to get drunk and not to enjoy the drink, I think the country failed miserably in weighing between the love for daru and the death bodies which will be coming in more numbers. So, if you are just giving one example, say Bengal, which got 40 crores in 2 days, or one liquor shop which got 4 crore in Mumbai in 1 day. Imagine how many thousands you added into the list of the COVID positives. And if what your screen is showing, 1.75 lakh crore as the annual revenue coming from excise and from liquor, then this revenue can very well wait for a month. In fact, people will drink more and this can become 2 lakh crore. So why can't we wait on daru, and rather than, if you had to open up economy, you should have opened up hotels with 30% occupancy. You should have gone for different sectors to open, which could have given more jobs. Except for 3 people in the liquor vent, how many jobs you are creating? And where the money is going to? And fuel tax is another which the state could have got. There can be 100 ways. And I'm sorry to say, the same people I see in the line for khichdi and lunch from the government were standing at the liquor shop. From where have they got the money? Tell me. They don't have money to eat, but they have money to buy liquor. And they may satisfy their craving, but what about the family? What are they doing? In fact, this is all hodgepodge, and I think in terms of losing or getting some political beating on this count, that they will lose some vote bank, this has been a complete failure.
Okay.
See the country like Taiwan, I'll just add, see the country like Taiwan, Vietnam, and even China. We are criticizing China, but after 3 months in complete lockdown, they are enjoying their holiday. Taiwan has opened up, Vietnam has opened up, the tourism is flourishing again, back. The restaurants are now getting those visitors. We will get another month or 2. In fact, we should have got the plan to these things rather than opening these liquor vents.
Okay.
Liquor vents,
okay.
the open liquor vents can wait for a month. Yeah.
Okay, Professor Nalapad, there's a Greek proverb that reads that from the fool and the drunkard, you may learn the truth. But what is the truth behind this move? Do you think states even had a knee-jerk reaction after those first day reports came out that social distancing norms were thrown to the wind, and tax was levied to the tune of 70% in Delhi, to the tune of 70% in Andhra Pradesh? This daily improvisation just to see what works and what does not work, does not give out the right picture or the confidence in the government itself.
I'd like to say it was a move, and I would only like to say that if we are implying that domestic violence comes down in areas where where drinking of liquor is punishable sometimes by death, for example Saudi Arabia, then that means that women are treated much more better in Saudi Arabia, and there is no domestic violence out there, and there is no domestic violence in Sudan and so many other societies which are completely, the laws are so strict on alcohol, whereas domestic violence must be rampant in countries like in Europe, etc., where alcohol is there, or in India. Well, I'm not sure about that. See, Sharath is a wonderful man, and obviously he would like all of us to be wonderful people. All I would like to say is that he must have met only saintly officers with high. There are many officers who are high integrity, very efficient, and saintly, but there are many who are not. So the problem is, liquor is bad, gambling is bad, but the question is, can you enforce a ban correctly? And my point is, you cannot. And when you cannot enforce a ban, the bad guys come in and take advantage.
Correct.
Every time we have tried to enforce some ban, which is unenforceable, given the governance situation in India or given local conditions, it's given a handle for mafia elements and crooks to make money. So please don't get me wrong. Liquor is awful. It should be, people should not have liquor. In fact, in my opinion, people should not have any meat. Vegetarianism is the best diet. But people should not gamble. But the reality is, these are not matters that can be enforced by law or the police.
Absolutely. Sharath, that's a valid point as well, that, if there is going to be a blanket ban on things, then unsavory elements oftentimes will find a way to surface and make a business out of it. And that too, in a way, is going to perhaps lead to such detrimental results as it did once upon a time in the United States. There was a prohibition era in the US, and that was a period, Sharath, when most of the mafia bosses, in fact, the culture of mafias started during the prohibition era in the USA. That's when gangsters like Al Capone and all these people were born.
You see, Vineet, I'm not in favor of a permanent ban on liquor. First of all, we never discussed permanent ban. We were only looking at this lockdown period and whether the state generates revenue through this source or it should look at other sources. Now, my question is, if it was being sold illicitly or illegally, or there were people supplying a handful of them, then we would not have seen the queues of 5 kilometers before the liquor vends when they opened yesterday. Then everybody would have taken it from that way, because even the liquor vends were sending it at 70% corona tax fee or whatever, So that was there is always a handful of people who engage into smuggling and this underhand dealing. But most of the population did not have access to liquor. Now, I totally support what Manish said, that if you were to open, and if you were to open in this manner, that you have a 5 kilometer long queue with hordes of people tossing over each other, then he very rightly said, why not open the restaurants? Give restaurant at a 50% capacity, leave one table apart. Why not start the flights with 30%, leave the middle seat open, let two people sit on two ends of the aeroplane. Why not start Uber and Ola? What wrong have poor people done? Look at 44 million people in the aviation industry we need today are on the verge of being jobless.
Correct.
I thought you should have thought about them first. I'm not against that. I'm not saying that states should not. But you could have thought of a more intelligent ways of opening rather than making somebody dumb by taking 2 liters of liquor inside your blood.
All right, Sumit, if you can hear me. It's a good point made out by Sharath that if things have to be opened up, why not regulate instead of doing this? Why not in fact figure out who are the people, who are the parties that really need some sort of a re-entry back into the system? Why the selective approach only towards alcohol?
You see, Vineet, your channel has covered that what is allowed in green zone, what is allowed in an orange zone, and what is allowed in a red zone. Right? Green zones, we know a lot of activity is on, including Olas, Ubers, and all. They're kind of allowed. Right? Even in red zone, some kind of activity is allowed. Vineet, at the end of the day, we forget one thing: we are a democracy. If we see a 5 kilometer long line, there are thousands, maybe more than thousands of people who are queuing at every shop. They are an Indian like you and me. You and me can have an opinion because we come on the TV. But we all have one vote. I have one vote. Professor Madan Lal Path has one vote. You have one vote. Sharadji has one vote. Manishji has one vote. So these are Indians who have a one vote like me. If they want to go and buy liquor, how on this earth, by which law can you stop them? And liquor, what sells right now is on cash. There is no credit cards, there is no that. So obviously they have money in the pocket. They are going and buying the liquor. Do you want a situation where you have this kachi sharab being distilled and 30 people die, 20 people die, which used to happen before? That is why these thekas or local shops were opened. So the cheap liquor could be sold to a lot of people, and in economics, if there is a demand, there has to be a supply. So either you do the supply or let the mafia do the supply. Then you have Al Capone's and the Bill Scottish, the other famous gangster of US. They will crop up. They will crop up and they will run the things. I completely agree with Professor Madan Alpat. This is what is the need of the hour, because we cannot stop these guys. Okay, we have to maintain social distancing, we have to enforce the medical norms or whatever is required to keep them safe.
But Sumit, the
but
question
at the same
is,
time, we have to respect the will of a democratic Indian.
If alcohol, why not the others? Why not others? Just because they generate revenue.
I'm saying, I'm not saying, I'm definitely saying if whatever can be opened should be opened. Whatever can be opened should be opened. I'm with it, because the economy has to start opening up. You might start with alcohol and start with other things. I mean, that is a question you have to ask the Honorable Health Minister of India. I'm not the best person for that. Agreeing to you, if more things can be opened, you should do it. Why not? Because in green zones, you have 1.70% of the things already. So you see how the things are shaping up, how the infections are shaping up, how the recoveries are happening. If more and more things can open, why not?
Right,
even
but
in
Manish,
orange zones, a lot of shops and smaller, which are not in the shopping malls and all, opened up.
Right, Manish. Even if you visit hospitals these days, people are being screened. People are being checked if they have a fever or not with those infrared guns, and not more than one person is allowed. If you're a patient, you're allowed one attendant. And these are the rules which are being observed in hospitals. There is no marshalling outside of liquor stores. There is no sense or decorum or a line to buy alcohol. In fact, there are regular brawls which have been reported across the country. And God forbid, okay, we've lost that connection with Manish. But Professor Nalapat, let me come to you on that. Professor Nalapat, this perhaps has the potency to become a cesspool for the virus. Let us not forget that. The virus is the main problem. Forget about the revenue for the state. Forget about who likes to drink and who doesn't like to drink. We are not addressing the elephant in the room, which is that these places can become cesspools for the virus to spread.
I simply want to say that this is a novel virus, a novel coronavirus. Nobody is sure about the trajectory of the virus. Nobody is sure about what method is important or not in ensuring that the spread is prevented. And the reality of the situation is, when you look at the data, you have some countries that have locked down completely, you have other countries that have not locked down at all, and you have some countries like China. Now, China was the first country to lock down first the city of Wuhan, 11 million people, and then Hubei and some surrounding areas, 60 million people. Then they locked down some village communities of around 100 million, not to get the virus moving out, but to prevent people from the virus moving in. So about a maximum, about 160 million people were locked down in China. They have never had this record-breaking lockdown that we have had in India, where fully 1.3 billion people have been in a lockdown. So, the point, and in India, may I say, that in China, they prevented people from going into the rural areas. In India, people who are going in from the urban areas are being sent to rural areas, to the villages, because they are migrants. So we have adopted a different strategy.
Okay.
Now, which strategy is best, which works, we don't know. Let's be honest. We don't know the trajectory of this virus. We don't know what works and what does not work. But all we know are the statistics. And the statistics show, very, very frankly, that it's very difficult to make out which method has been the most effective in curbing the spread of the virus.
Okay, Manish, if you can hear me.
Yeah, now I can hear you. We lost.
Okay, well, like Professor Nalapat said, we really don't know which way this virus is going. We don't know the trajectory. We don't know the nature of the beast or the disposition of the beast. If we talk about prohibition, or if we talk about the non-consumption of alcohol, look at Gujarat. It is a state which has prohibition. The death rate, the fatality rate in the state of Gujarat is perhaps the highest. I'm not talking about the number of cases, Manish. I'm talking about the fatality rate in Gujarat is the highest.
Yeah, it's serious. Yeah.
Can you hear me, Manish? Did you hear my
I can
point?
hear you. Yeah. So should I?
Yeah, go on, Manish.
Yeah, first of all, agreeing fully with Professor Nalpat and his concerns about that this is democracy and then all those things come. But somewhere I think that the way we started by this information and then prevention and then the center-state relationship which everyone across the world praised us, I think we have lost that chord in the last few days. And the politics is again coming to the fore, which will be detrimental as well as fatal for us. And I must tell you one thing, that if even leave everything, and if this was the only resort to raise revenue, what was the contingency plan we had? Didn't we have we ever gave a thought that how will we maintain the social distancing, whether the police or the security forces be enough to take care of social distancing or the crowd management and all that? This is getting out of control. This is getting out of control. Liquor could have waited to me, or if someone is saying that liquor cannot wait, then there could have been other ways also.
Okay.
Why didn't you open restaurants as our friend has said? That you make it like a 30% occupancy in the restaurants with the bars and all open. And if a liquor vendor is in a particular area, let the apartment people have the numbers and let it be only door-to-door delivery, so that at least we can have less rush. I saw a picture in the village in Chittoor, the way people are lining up. I saw people in Bangalore. Oh my God, what are they waiting for? They can wait for hours in that. So where all the concerns are gone. And we are now entering the community transmission phase beneath. This is something is legal for us.
All right. Okay. Well, this is these are unprecedented times, and any move which is being made by the government or the states will be put under the microscope. It will be assessed. It will, there will be a biopsy of everything that the state puts out. What does this lead to? Well, we can't say it's too early, too premature to in fact dictate or judge as to the reopening of liquor stores is detrimental, or is it something which is not going to have an impact at all.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.